Welcome everybody, another episode of Professor Cygnus. Today we are going to be playing the Sega Genesis version of Clue. There are two versions of Clue that were available for that generation of console. There was one for the Super Nintendo, which is kind of hilariously broken. There are some fun speed runs on the Super Nintendo version that are available on YouTube that I recommend checking out. But the Sega version does not contain those errors. So that's why we are going to be playing the Sega Genesis version of it today. If you've never seen the Sega Genesis version of the game, it does play a little bit differently than traditional versions of the game, just because the clue giving is slightly different. That makes a significant difference in the gameplay, because it's less about the cards that you have and more about the relationships between people and sort of a view of the scenario at the time. It feels a little more like actual detective work and a little less, like just a basic deductive card game. We, as always, when available, are going to play as Professor Plum. And we're going to play with 6 other players. You notice I have my tracking sheet on screen there on the right-hand side, so you'll be able to watch along as I'm making any markings or adjustments. And then also, as always, for anybody who's in the live stream, I always welcome backseating as long as we're not playing a multiplayer game together. So if you have any suggestions that you'd like to see me make, go ahead and drop those into the chat, and we will add them to our list. So Mrs. Peacock, Lead Pipe, and Library are our cards. So those things, just like the regular version of this, are eliminated from our considerations. So we can go ahead and mark those 3 things off. So again, it's Peacock, Lead Pipe, and Library. So we'll get in here into our tracking sheet, mark off Peacock, mark off Lead Pipe, and we'll mark off Library. So kind of an interesting setup to have one of each. It's a little less cards being spread out like that are a little less useful than it is in the game, because we're not going to be doing as much asking about the cards that we specifically have. We're instead going to be doing more just general information gathering about rooms, and then hoping that things that we don't already have eliminated are in relationship with things we do have eliminated, and then vice versa. Things that we do have eliminations on are in relationship with things that we don't have relationships on. So, for example, we found out that Mrs. Peacock was in possession of the knife. The knife would then be eliminated from any further considerations for us, which would be a helpful deduction to be able to make, because then it further narrows our playing field. For the first handful of turns, though, especially in this game, I'd say probably the first 10 turns, there's really going to be just a focus on gathering as much information as possible. There's not really much to be gained by avoiding rooms or weapons or people that we have. We simply want to gather as much information as possible. Additionally, since neither of the corner rooms that we occupy or the other players occupy are eliminations for us, there's not going to be any distinct focus on staying on one side or the other. So what I mean by that is, if as Professor Plum we get access to jump. Okay, so we have our first clue. The wrench was not in the lounge, so we will go to lounge. We're going to mark off wrench. But if we would have the study or the kitchen card, I like to focus on eliminating things first and then getting positive clues later, not just chasing the correct answer. So I would have if we had the study or the kitchen cards, because those are the corners that we can bounce between as Professor Plum, I would have tried to pull as many of the other characters into our corner as possible. Since our corner isn't eliminated and also the other corner isn't eliminated, we have no specific focus. So we're just going to go ahead and proceed through the game asking questions as they come up. We get another clue that green did not have the wrench, so that's a mark off on our sheet. In terms of our people or weapons here, I usually, when I only have one, kind of try to avoid asking about them, just because it's very possible in this game version for us to be able, by asking questions, to eliminate either people or rooms. And what I mean by that is, by asking, if we find out that, for example, no one had the lead pipe, we would be able to also eliminate the lead pipe just basically by the clues that we were given in the game, which is a little different from how the board game functions. Mrs. White did not have the rope as our next clue, so we marked that on our sheet. So if via gameplay we found out that Mrs. White didn't have a weapon or no one had the rope, those would be eliminated from our inquiries as well. So when we only really have one person or one weapon, I just kind of tend to stay away from those things because there's a high possibility of us just simply being able to eliminate those through straight inquiry. So we would rather use them instead as things we don't need to ask about. So in order to eliminate, say, the candlestick from consideration, if we knew that green, mustard, plum, scarlet, and white didn't have it, it doesn't matter if Mrs. Peacock did or not, it is now eliminated for us. And we found out that plum did not have the rope, so now we've eliminated 2 of the 5 possibilities, 2 of the 6 logical options for the rope now. The difference, when I state something like a logical possibility or an option, a logical possibility, I'm referring to the things that could exist, while an option is going to more focus on the things that could be correct. So while Mrs. Peacock with the rope is a logical option, it is not a possibility, for we know it was not Mrs. Peacock. So we've been pulled to the conservatory. We're going to go ahead and make a guess, and we're going to say Scarlet with the rope and see if we can continue to gather more information to eliminate the rope from further possibility. So the rope was not in the conservatory. So we can go ahead and eliminate that on the bottom there and keep moving forward. Again, early portion of the game here, it's just kind of about gathering as much information and putting, it basically is about putting X's on our sheet. Because there's not going to be a lot positive to come up in the first couple of turns typically. And if it does, it usually can mean for a quick game because somebody's tripped into a correct answer pretty early. Because the game has a strong tendency to give us negative deductions whenever possible. So Mr. Green did not have the pipe is our next clue here. So we can go ahead and mark that off on our sheet. The pipe, again, something that we are not going to be asking about because we have it eliminated. However, we're going to still want to pay attention to any clues that are given about it because those deductions could still be useful in formulating other guesses later. Because in both this game type and a more traditional board game clue type, one of the things that we need to be consistent consideration of is, and it's less so with playing with computers as we are here, the wrench was not in the ballroom, our next elimination. But something that you have to be in consideration of with when you're playing with other human players is the fact that there are things that we may be able to deduce based on their activity. So if people are suspiciously avoidant of a room, we may be able to deduce that they have that card and therefore are ignoring it because they've already eliminated it. While other players will do the exact opposite, and they will seek out rooms that they have in order to limit the things that can be, those deductions can be about if they're further away on one idea or another. So Miss Scarlet did not have the rope. This was what we had asked earlier, but it wasn't nice enough to give us the answer we wanted. So that means now we are down to two possible options for the rope. It's either Mr. Green or Colonel Mustard as possibilities, though another logical option of Peacock with the rope exists, but that would lead to us being able to remove the rope from our considerations. Professor Plum did not have the revolver. One thing that we also do like to see, we're not going to put a lot of effort into it, I guess I'll say, but it's always helpful if we can make eliminations in terms of characters that we are, whatever character we are playing as. Because in the late game, when we are down to a few possibilities and kind of, because usually this game devolves into what most Clue games devolve into. Most people knowing what the weapon and knowing what the suspect is and needing to determine the room. And so what we don't want is to be getting dragged around at the end of the game trying to determine the room while other people are trying to determine the room in areas that we may have already eliminated that are far away from the rooms we need to eliminate. So it's always helpful to get our character removed from suspicion on the earlier portion of the game if possible. So Green wasn't in the ballroom. Just elimination there for us. So now we are in the lounge. He got pulled there. We might as well just guess there. Rope is still available in the lounge, but we've got that pretty narrowed down. I want to do more narrowing down on us. This is one place where I'm going to kind of deviate from what I had talked about doing. I am going to ask about us with the lead pipe, because if we find out we have the lead pipe, we can remove ourselves from suspicion fairly early, and we're going to try to string together us as a possibility. Unfortunately, that's not going to work. But if we would have the pipe, we could eliminate ourselves quite quickly. And then we would spend time going from room to room trying to determine where we're located. Because then if we can also eliminate us, or we can put that full possibility together, one of the other players is going to make an interrogation, and then we will be publicly exonerated. And when we're publicly exonerated, then the other players will stop asking about us and allow us to kind of freely move, which is a big advantage in the later portions of the game. In the early portions of the game, I actually like to be dragged around a little bit because I think the most useful thing to have, the most useful thing on your side in the early portion of the game is just the ability to be making a guess every turn. And you'll notice that most of these games, as you watch other games that I play on this SEGA version of Clue, or on the SNES version of Clue, which I'll also fire up on occasion, you'll notice as I play through these games that, well, stop to make this elimination here. Mrs. White did not have the knife. But you'll notice that frequently in the early portion of the game, and this works out both with computers and with human players, as I play this both ways, that there's a tendency to end up in these corner rooms where you're guaranteed a guess every turn, simply because the value of gathering information, even if it's in a room that you have eliminated, is at a premium in the early portion of the game. And so as we start to gather information and narrow things down on the top part of the sheet, then it becomes a little more focused. But at the beginning, it's just a matter of gathering as much information as possible, top sheet information in the early portion of the game being especially useful. So the candlestick was not in the conservatory. Go ahead and mark that on our sheet. And we're going to move on to now Mr. Green's turn. He's in the ballroom. He suggests Scarlet with a knife. And the knife was not in the ballroom. So no, nothing really on the bottom that's of any interest yet. The only thing at the top, we do have some narrowing down on both us and the rope. We want to do some more narrowing down on us. We go to the conservatory. Are we still available to be there? We are. So we're going to guess about us again. Doesn't really matter what we say. We just can't say the candlestick. So let's go with knife. So we would like to see here that we do not have the knife, would be our preferred clue. It's instead just going to tell us about the conservatory. It's going to tell us the knife wasn't there. So I usually like to get my character, whoever I'm playing as, my suspect, nailed down to one or two possible weapons as early as possible. We're well on track for that. We need to make one more deduction in terms of our own weaponry to hit that goal. Let's see here. We're in the ballroom, and we find the revolver was not in the ballroom. So now we're down to only two possible weapons in both the ballroom and the conservatory. Now, there's three logical weapons for both. But again, we have the lead pipe in our cards. So while the lead pipe is going to be in the playing field somewhere, we know that wherever it is an elimination. About Mrs. Okay, and it's going to tell us about her relationship with the weapon here. She did not have it. Now we would like for one of these characters to have the lead pipe, because there's two ways that we can eliminate, well, three ways we can eliminate characters without us having their card. One is to then have them be in a relationship with a card that we have. So either be, in our case, possessing the lead pipe or being in the library. So the candlestick was not in the ball. So that's way number one, that we can eliminate a person. Way number two that we can eliminate a person is by them not having a weapon. So if a person does not have a weapon, then they are also eliminated. So that's the way number two was way number three. There's three. Having a weapon that we have eliminated. Being in a room that we have eliminated. Or three, not having a weapon at all. So Peacock was not in the conservatory because all of these pieces, both characters and weapons, exist somewhere in the playing field. So it's not a situation where, we have the lead pipe card and the lead pipe is nowhere to be found within the playing field. That's impossible. The lead pipe always exists within the playing field. So that means a room is able to be eliminated by placing the lead pipe there. However, if no one possesses that lead pipe, with the game's proclivity to give us a negative clue, like the one it just gave us about the lead pipe not being in the conservatory, it's going to be more beneficial to us to just eliminate everything but the lead pipe from our room and move on, unless we find out that the lead pipe is possessed by one of the suspects. So we're going to take the secret passage to the lounge because we want to continue making guesses every turn when possible. We're also going to guess us because we continue to be an option in either of these rooms. We're going to guess the candlestick this time. Okay, Plum is not in the lounge. So that limits our ability to guess Professor Plum a little bit, but isn't a major issue. We'll end our turn. Okay, Professor Plum did not have the wrench. It's now another elimination that we can make on our character. And at this point, I think we're going to be satisfied with what we know about Professor Plum and move on for now. Because we could cause ourselves a problem, as Professor Plum is left with two possible weapons left, the candlestick and the knife. Neither of those weapons, however, are eliminations that we've made. So, by virtue of trying to eliminate ourselves, we may put ourselves in the spotlight, which is also something that we don't want to do. The revolver eliminated now from the lounge. We're getting to the point now where we're going to want to stop going back and forth here shortly. Mustard and White, Peacock are all trying to go to other rooms. We're going to allow them. So we want to eliminate Mustard, White, and Peacock from any guess that we make this turn. We're in the conservatory, which we know more about than we know the lounge. So we're going to go to the lounge. And we will ask about green. And because we are in the lounge, we will say knife. Green was not in the lounge. So now we're down to two possible murderers, three logical ones left in the lounge. Again, Peacock, not a possibility, as she is one of our cards and therefore eliminated. I think this is going to be the last time we're going to go back and forth. I don't think we want to guess any more about the conservatory. So unless we get pulled there and can guess about the lounge again, back-to-back turns, we may not be wanting to go. So Mrs. Peacock did not have the lead pipe. Good. That would have been an unhelpful clue for us, as Peacock and the lead pipe being tied together form a double elimination situation for us. And double eliminations, especially in a 6-player 3-carded game, is very problematic, because we need our clues to do big work, and that would be having them do small work. Mrs. Peacock was not in the ballroom. So we are down to just one remaining weapon option in the ballroom, and that's the rope. There's still a logical possibility that the lead pipe is there, but that is not an option for us as the actual murder, as we have that eliminated already. This is White, not in the billiard room. So still no positive clues, but we have started to really narrow things down and kind of the first 3 rooms that we've been doing work in. We would like Mr. Green to guess us here. He does not comply. Scarlet dining room. We know nothing about the dining room thus far. We know something about the dining room so far. So our first clue tells us that Scarlet was not there. That's going to be our next goal location. We're likely going to inquire about somebody who isn't in the room too, because we would like to get another person or two over there and guessing. But not Mrs. White, as she's moved to the billiard room and is asking also about a room we have no information about. So we found out the rope is not in the ballroom, and by virtue then of the lead pipe being the only weapon left possible for the ballroom means the ballroom is now eliminated. So we're down to 7 rooms. Woohoo! So let's see. So now it's our turn. We are going to roll and hope we make the dining room. Nice, we do. So Green and Scarlet were there. White is in the ballroom, so we don't want to guess White. We don't want to guess Green. We don't want to guess Scarlet. We know nothing about Colonel Mustard on the top portion of our sheet so far, so let's ask about him. Let's say he did it with the knife. So Colonel Mustard was not in the dining room, so that eliminates that from our possibilities. That will end our turn. So Professor Plum was not in the dining room as our next clue. So we'll go ahead and mark that on our sheet. Dining Plum. So and just like that, we have the dining room now down to just purely 2 options. So the only thing left in the dining room as far as murderers go, we've got Mr. Green and Miss White. We kind of want to let Miss White alone because she's in the billiard room doing work in rooms that we know nothing about. We would love for her to pull us into the library because we would like to find ourselves there. Mrs. Peacock did not have the knife. Yeah, and by find ourselves in the library, I don't just mean our playing piece there. We would like to find that during the time of the murder that Professor Plum was actually in the library as well. Because that would be a double benefit to us because it would, one, give us a positive clue about our character, which is an eliminator, and then 2, would move us to the other side of the board where we kind of want to be at this point. We've got a lot of things eliminated on this side of the board, and it's going to be a long walk if we're going to want to get out of where we are right now. Peacock was not in the dining room. So that leaves only Green and White as possibilities in the dining room. That narrows it down enough for us. So we're going to be making our move out of that area. So to the south of us, we've got a moderate walk to the ballroom, a long walk to the kitchen. We don't want to go to the ballroom. To the north of us, we have a short walk to the lounge that's blocked by Mr. Green, but it doesn't matter because we don't want to go there anyways. And then we have a moderate walk to the hall, which is the walk that we're going to take. Because we want to get to the other side of the board. We want to get to, we need study, we need kitchen, we need hall, which is on our way there, and then library and billiard room. While we were kind of walking away from the lounge and conservatory without them being fully eliminated, there's a lot of pressure on the possible weapons there. So there's only revolver and wrench left in the conservatory. And then in lounge, there's pressure on the characters. There is only Scarlet and White left there. Peacock is also available in the lounge. However, we know that she is not the murderer. Okay, we've now arrived in the hall. We're going to continue to guess about Colonel Mustard, just because we have no information on him. So Mustard's kind of our... Mustard and Scarlet. We have limited information about both of them. Done a good job of making a lot of eliminations on ourselves, which has seemed to have limited the amount of guesses about us at this point. We're kind of quickly eliminating ourselves from spaces where everybody is. So green did not have the candlestick. Getting a fairly decent balance of clues here. We have some eliminations based on the top. We have then some... Let's actually do that. So Scarlet and White are the only people left in the lounge. Both of them could have used the candlestick. Neither of them could have used the rope. So of the possibilities, aka, again, the things that could have actually happened, we're only left with candlestick. Because Mrs. Peacock could have the rope, but she's eliminated. The lead pipe is eliminated. Scarlet and White could not have the rope. So the only people that could have actually committed murder in the lounge must have done it with the candlestick for it to be the lounge. So Mrs. White was not in the hall is our next clue. So let's do the same thing with the conservatory. So we have revolver and wrench left. So wrench can't be used by Mr. Green. It can't be used by us. So if it was the wrench, it was Mustard, Scarlet, or White. If it was the revolver, that's a little more open. It just eliminates us. Mrs. Peacock did not have the candlestick. I was going to say it would have been really helpful to learn about Mrs. White having or not having the wrench, but alas, it tells us that White was not in the dining room. So that means now, if the murder was committed in the dining room, it must have been by Mr. Green, which therefore eliminates both the lead pipe and the wrench from being there if Mr. Green is there. He need not. There are 6 people. There are 9 rooms. That means there are rooms without people in it. So we're very close. We're very close to eliminating both the dining room and the conservatory. But we can do both eliminations remotely, meaning that we do not need to be in those rooms in order to make those eliminations now. Or to confirm those as the rooms. We can probably do it outside of going back to the conservatory, the lounge, or the dining room. So Plum was not in the hall. So how narrowed down are we on Plum now? Not very. We still have 2, 3. Still have 6 rooms we should be in. So we've only cleared ourselves from 3. We've rolled a 3. Don't really want to block the study, but I think I've been given no option because I don't want to risk going 2 turns without making a guess. Scarlet rolls from the dining room, goes to the lounge. Don't guess us. We could still be in the conservatory. We can't be in the lounge. So we shouldn't be guessed in the lounge at this point. The rope was not in the lounge. Okay, so that now eliminates everything but the candlestick, which we had already done because of clues that we had. Peacock rope was open to some other players. Any player that didn't have the rope card would have also thought peacock and rope was a possibility. But now that's been eliminated as well. Peacock did not have the revolver. So because of our situation here of having Peacock eliminated already, we don't want to ask any more questions about her, because one thing that does reign true in this game, the same way it does in the typical board game, is that we want to protect our cards as best as possible. And what I mean by that is we do not want everybody knowing what we know. We know it's not Mrs. Peacock. If people are able to eliminate Miss Peacock from possessing any weapon, they also know it's not Mrs. Peacock, so we lose a little bit of our advantage. The lead pipe was not in the line. Okay, so now, not only have we eliminated every weapon but the candlestick from being a possible murder weapon, we've also eliminated every weapon from the candlestick from even factually being there. And we may be eliminating that further with this guess here from this opponent. So that leaves us with only one. So here's a case of where we could eliminate the lounge from our considerations with a remote guess. And we're going to actually attempt that here in the study, because we want more players over here asking questions with us, and we want to be able to eliminate the lounge without going back. So we are going to guess Mrs. White, the candlestick, because if we eliminate Mrs. White as having the candlestick, or we positively place Mrs. White or the candlestick in the study, it means it can no longer be the lounge. The perfect clue for us. So Mrs. White did not have the candlestick. So that's now eliminated. So if we look at the lounge here, the candlestick is the only weapon that can be there. Mrs. Peacock, Scarlet, and White are the only people who can be there. However, Peacock, Scarlet, and White now are all eliminated from having possession of the candlestick. So that means we are able to remove the lounge as a possible murder site. So now, 3 down, 6 to go. So that was a productive turn for us. Really would have been hard-pressed to kind of go better than that. That kind of is exactly how we needed that to shake out. So now we're back in the dining room, and we're asking about Green with the revolver. Green is the only person who can be here. So if we find out Mr. Green was not in the dining room, then the dining room is done. And so it is. So that means we've eliminated every character from being in the dining room. Therefore, Ghosts don't commit murder in the clue world. Therefore, the dining room is now eliminated as well. So 4 rooms down, 5 to go. Let's see, Scarlet Revolver Hall. Great. So now there's quite a bit of pressure on the hall to be the site of the murder. Every other player thinks there are 2 suspects available. We know there's only 1, as we have the peacock card. Well, whoever has Mr. Green, if someone has Mr. Green, also is in the same boat as us. So Mr. Green is the only person left that could have committed murder in the hall. Scarlet did not have the revolver. Great. So we're continuing to narrow down the top some. We still have nothing about Colonel Mustard. That's incredible. You know, we have everybody else. If everybody else has at least 3 eliminations, some have 4. Mustard has none, and we've done a fair bit of asking about him. We would love to see the wrenches in the dining room here. We just don't want to be asked into the dining room here, because that would put us kind of in no man's land, because we have ballroom, we have dining room, we have lounge, all eliminated. So none of those places are helpful for us. We actually probably want to look at who's in the dining room. Scarlet did not have the knife. So we know Scarlet just got pulled into the dining room. We want to pull her out of there, because it's not useful for her. Well, so we've got a problem here, because we don't necessarily want the affirmative information that Scarlet has the wrench, because that eliminates her from the other side of the board for the most part. But she's already mostly eliminated the side of the board. I still want more information about Colonel Mustard, but he's in the hall, so he's in a helpful place. Yeah, we're gonna go to the kitchen. We're gonna ask Scarlet with the wrench in the kitchen, and run the risk of getting a positive clue here. We don't want this to be positive. And we're getting a positive clue. Okay. So that's our first positive clue of the game. Miss Scarlet has the wrench. So draw a line here and X from here. X off all these options. And then any place the wrench is, Scarlet now is not. In any place Scarlet is not, the wrench is not. The conservatory. So Scarlet with the wrench is still available there. The revolver is under serious pressure, though. Because if it were to be the revolver, if we were to discover the revolver is the murder weapon, green and white are the only of the 5 people could possibly be in the conservatory. 3 of them could have used it there. Excuse me, 2 of them. No, I was right. 3. Green, mustard, white. Because we're eliminated from having the revolver. Scarlet is now eliminated from having the revolver. Now green is eliminated from having them. Mustard knife study. We know very little about the study and continue to know nothing about Colonel Mott. Wow. Okay, so a positive clue kind of out of nowhere there. Let's get our green highlighter out. And the knife was in the study, so we're going to give that a little highlight down there. And we are going to mark it clear in every other room. Okay. Well, by virtue of that, we also can eliminate every other room from the study. Or every other weapon from the study. And we can also eliminate Peacock, Scarlet, and White from the study. As we know, based on our top clues, that none of them have the knife. Peacock was not in the hall. So now the hall is down to simply Mr. Green. So it's... No, we can't make that assumption. If Mr. Green committed murder in the hall, Plum was not in the study, so that eliminates us from having the knife. So, if Mr. Green is in the hall and is the murderer, it is with the rope. So this is the only possibility left that allows the hall to be the site of the murder. Okay, and that's now eliminated. So, Mr. Green's the only person left in the hall. The candlestick could be in the hall. Mr. Green can't have it. The lead pipe can be in the hall. Mr. Green can't have it. The revolver can be in the hall. Mr. Green can't have it. The rope can be in the hall. Mr. Green can't have it. So there is no combination of Mr. Green and a weapon that would allow him to be in the hall and be the murderer. So the hall is now eliminated. In fact, because of our deductions, if Mr. Green is the murderer, it must be green study knife. I'm going to go to the kitchen because we have the study very limited down. I would like somebody else to find out what the positivity is there. And I want to find my backwards way to it. So guessing about Peacock and the rope, it's not going to do us a lot of usefulness unless, no, the rope is still available in several of the rooms that we already have eliminated. Because Mrs. Peacock is not. Mrs. Peacock is still, other than the library or the lounge, is out of every room that we have eliminated. But I'm not convinced that peacock rope is a productive guess here. Let's guess this. We're going to guess Colonel Mustard, the lead pipe. Because if Colonel Mustard has the lead pipe, that leaves us with a singular option for the study. Okay, so we're in a weird spot here. We have two conclusions that have two of the three legs needed to put together a full guess together. We know the knife is in the study and we have nothing to eliminate it. We know that Scarlet has the wrench with nothing to eliminate it. Peacock can't be here. No, neither can the revolver. So that was unhelpful to us. Because we were able to make those deductions based on other clues that we had. So now, so Mr. Green is going to ask about himself in the hall. If Mr. Green is in the hall, revolver was not enough. If Mr. Green is in the hall, it would get us backwards to another one of our possible conclusions. We really don't want to guess in this study next turn, but we're kind of forced. Peacock rope study. Ms. Peacock was not in the study. So we have a couple of options here. The concern I have with going back to the study is we are required to either guess green or mustard. If we get a positive clue, then we have a decision on whether to make an accusation or not. And it's one that I would probably have to not make, but then you have to hope you get another turn. If we get a negative clue, then we still have to hope it makes around to us because there's still something that needs to be interrogated. The problem is if we roll here, there's no logical place for us to go. We have a long walk to an eliminated dining room or a moderate walk to an eliminated ballroom. And then we have a long walk from the ballroom to the billiard room. And if we go to the dining room, we only have eliminated rooms around us. So here's what we're going to do. I guess peacock with the rope in the study. This is likely not helpful to us, and it's not going to give us a helpful clue. But it avoids us giving away an important clue at the end of our turn. Okay, so now this is potentially helpful. We would like this to be a negative. Excellent. The lead pipe was not in the hall. So where's left for lead pipe? Lead pipe can still be in. The only useful place for us for the lead pipe to be is in the billiards room. Because if it's in the billiard room, then we can eliminate that, and that puts us to 3 rooms. However, if it's in, it could be in the ballroom, it could be in the dining room, it could be in the library. If it's either of those 3 places, it just confirms an elimination we've already made. We want to go to the library next. We have a problem if this is correct. And it is. Okay. So we go from having no clues about Colonel Mustard to knowing exactly what weapon he has. So, what does this do for us? So this eliminates the rope. What else does it do? So because the billiard room is so wide open, we really can make no conclusions on eliminating weapons or people based on rooms. We can eliminate Colonel Mustard from everywhere but the study, for we know he is there now. And we eliminate Mr. Green because he has no weapon. So this leaves us with 4 possible murders with multiple locations involved in some. Mustard with the knife, Plum with the candlestick, Scarlet with the wrench, or White with the revolver. There's one other logical one, Peacock with the rope. However, because of our card, that is eliminated. Is there any further work we can do here? So, we can't eliminate Mustard and the knife. Plum and the candlestick could be in the kitchen, could be in the billiard room, cannot be in the conservatory. Scarlet with the wrench could be in the billiard room, could be in the conservatory, could be in the kitchen. White revolver could be in the billiard room, could be in the conservatory, could be in the kitchen. So yeah, we're maxed out here in terms of what we can do. We need this to get back to our turn though. It's possible that this game ends here because we have no cards to eliminate this full possibility, and Peacock is going to make an interrogation. If this is false, we're in good shape because we've done no work in the library yet, and we know it's eliminated. Unfortunately, that is the game winner. So Mrs. Peacock's going to beat us to it by 1 turn. Mustard, knife, study is going to be our final answer. So we can now watch murder play out. The fireplace crackled and lights danced on the walls of the study. Colonel Mustard carefully cleaned his monocle. He suddenly grabbed the knife. He found the situation quite intolerable, so he So a good game all in all. We were fairly close. I think more than anything, it was just bad luck that Green made that conclusion at the point that he did. If we could have eliminated Green from having the knife, we could have made this interrogation without that positive clue. But that's just not how it shook out. So, good game all in all. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll be back with another game of this in, say, 5 minutes or so. So I will see you all very shortly.